Positivity is not pointless denial of pain. It's actually a choice. I'm Dr. Paul Jenkins, a positivity psychologist. We're going to get past the trite, fluffy, just think positive that you hear from speakers from the stage into the psychology behind it, and I will give you a copy of the model that I have developed around this. As a professional psychologist, my job is to illuminate the obvious, which is so cool because I get paid to tell people things they already know. There's a lot of obvious things that are completely unnoticed, though. Let's just go there for a minute. Your clothing, can you feel it on your body? Well, now that I've mentioned it, but notice you didn't even tune into that before I said something. Or the fact that we're speaking English. Did you notice? Obvious, but not noticed until it's called to your attention. The fun thing about psychology is that many of the processes in our mind are in that realm. Obvious, but unnoticed. I think you're going to see them immediately as I call them to your attention. And the first process I want you to notice is called metacognition. This is just a fancy psychological word that means thinking about thinking. Notice that you can do this. Now it's obvious that I call it to your attention, but it was probably unnoticed up until that point. Turn on your metacognition, think about your thinking. Metacognition is really important when it comes to understanding what positivity actually is, because until you see it as a choice, it's not. And you will roll with whatever your natural programming is. I say natural programming, I just mean what you've already been programmed to think. Kind of like, for me, speaking English is in my programming. I didn't choose to speak English. I was programmed by people who didn't give me a choice. And those same people programmed me to do a lot of the kinds of thinking that I naturally and habitually do. Notice that you've got some programming. This is part of thinking about your own thinking. As you turn on that metacognition and think about your thinking, I'm going to call to your awareness two types of thinking that are going on all the time in your mind. And these are kind of like gravity. You never get up in the morning and think, I wonder if gravity's on today. It tends to be. And these processes in your mind are very similar in that you cannot turn them off. They are constantly in play. As I call those two types of thinking to your awareness, I'll be referring to a visual model that I've created to represent what positivity actually is. I call this the positivity model. And I will give you a copy. You don't have to scramble and write this down. I've already put it together for you. Just tell me where to send it. drpauljenkins.com. The URL is right there on the screen, /the model. Meaning the positivity model. Just jump over there and let me know where to send it. I'll put it right in your inbox. And I'll describe what you're seeing there on the model. On the middle line, I've put the words what it is. And it's on a line that has bidirectional arrows on it. You've heard the phrase, it is what it is, which can be kind of annoying depending on who's saying it. But all it means for our conversation here today is the way things are. It's who you are, what you have, where you are, who you're with, without changing anything. It is what it is. The bidirectional arrow indicates that what it is could always be better or worse. So there's those two ends to it. It could be better. It could be worse. Always. Wait, is that true? I think we better establish that before we move forward. Because if that's true, no matter how bad things seem right now, it could always get worse. Is that true? Wait, Dr. Paul, how is this about positivity? Just stay with me for a minute. It could always be worse. Now, is that true the other direction? No matter how good things seem, it could always be better. True? Yeah, that is always true. So wherever we are, it is what it is. It could always be better. It could always be worse. Now you understand the core of that model. let's go to the two types of thinking. First, I'll call to your attention the process of evaluation. When you look at the model, you'll see that on the bottom half of the model that I'm sharing with you. Evaluation means judgment. Now remember, think about your thinking and notice this. You are constantly judging what it is. You're what it is. You judge yourself. You judge your relationships, you judge the weather, you judge the government, you judge the economy, you judge the pandemic, you're judging me. It's cool, I'm judging you right back. We can't turn it off, it's like gravity. And here's the next thing I want you to notice about judgment or evaluation. It implies comparison with some standard. So if I were to ask you, am I a tall man? Well, all you know is what you can see here on the video, unless we've met personally, and then you would have some other things to compare it to, like your own height. You might remember that name. He's from the NBA. He played for years for the Utah Jazz as the center. He's 7'4". I'm 6'2", and that's pretty tall compared to most people, but next to Mark, I look like a shrimp. So am I a tall man or not? Well, your answer to that depends on who or what you compare me to. You with me? Now, that is true of every aspect of your evaluation. How am I doing in my life? How's my bank account? How's my relationship? How's my health? Well, it depends on who or what you compare it to. Just notice that. I'm not here to tell you how to think. I don't have that kind of authority. I want you to see that you are thinking and that thinking matters. It has an impact on how you feel. So what that means for you is that the way you evaluate your life is going to change how you feel about it. How do you feel when you compare what you've got right now, your what it is, whatever it is, when you compare that to something so much better? How do you feel about what you've got? Yeah, disappointed, cheated, maybe falling short. Okay, notice that. Now, how do you feel when you take what you've got and you compare it to something worse? And how do you feel about what you've got? Do you notice that? So evaluation, the way your mind is constantly doing it, is putting you in a position relative to whatever it is you're comparing yourself to. Pretty simple. But when you notice this process going on in your mind, the evaluation, which you can't turn off, look, you don't always get to choose what it is. Have you noticed that? Some stuff just shows up in your life. You didn't ask for it, didn't raise your hand, you didn't sign up. But here it is. It is what it is. Now, what do you get to choose? You get to choose how you judge or evaluate your what it is. And it could always be better. It could always be worse. Again, I'm not here to tell you how to think. That's totally up to you. I just want you to see that you are and that you have some choice in how you make those comparisons. This is really, really important. That's 2 reallys. Are you listening? Because we're not done yet. Not only are we constantly evaluating our what it is, we are also creating. So creation is here on the top part of the model that I promised to send you. The creation mode is about what is to be. And that doesn't exist yet. We haven't created it yet. So the only place it exists now is in our imagination of what is to be. And we have to imagine things before we can create them. You look around yourself in wherever you are right now, in your room or in your car, everything that you see existed first as someone's imagination. The things you see in this room, the camera through which I'm talking to you right now, it didn't just poof into existence. Somebody thought it up first. Somebody had to imagine it. And what is to be doesn't exist yet, so we have to imagine it. Now go to your feelings for a minute. Notice this. What happens when we imagine or predict or expect or anticipate that what's coming for us is even worse than what we've already got, how do we feel? Do you feel that? That's anxiety, fear, apprehension. Oh no, bad things are going to happen. You don't know bad things are going to happen, but when you imagine it, you feel anxiety. That is 30 years of clinical experience in a nutshell. I'm a professional psychologist. This is how anxiety happens. Now let's go the other direction. How do you feel when you imagine or predict or expect or anticipate that what's coming for you is even better than what you've already got? How do you feel? That, my friends, is hope. Eagerness, excitement, anticipation. I said hope first because I also know as a professional psychologist that hope is the #1 preventative factor for suicidal thinking and behavior. We've lost far too many people unnecessarily. What if we could create hope on demand? Turns out we can. Because we don't know what's coming. When we anticipate or expect that it's going to be worse, we feel anxiety. When we anticipate or expect that it's going to be better, we feel hope. Any questions? Now, we don't get to choose what it is. That just happens. What do we get to choose? We get to choose what we imagine is to be or to become or is on its way. And then we get busy creating that because it doesn't just poof into existence. We get to put our hands into this and work on it. Remember, you've got something to do with it. It starts with our imagination. This is how we can create hope. All right, I've already given you one bonus, the model. Go get it, drpauljenkins.com/the model. I'll send this to you so that you have a color version of what we talked about here today. I got to give you one more bonus, okay, before I turn you loose today. There are 2 brain hacks that will allow you to choose positivity more predictably, and if you'll practice these for the next 5 days, I promise it's going to make a huge difference. The first one is gratitude. I could tell you all the clinical backing that we have for gratitude being a powerful intervention. But just trust me, this is going to work if you'll do it in a specific way. What I want you to do for 5 days is come up with a list of 25 things for which you are sincerely grateful. Put them on a list. Don't include anything on tomorrow's list that was on today's. Whole new list tomorrow. 25 items a day for 5 days. Now, here's what's going to power it up. Make sure that at least half of your list every day, that's 13 if you're doing the math, is about the hard stuff in your life. Something that's difficult, painful, frustrating, annoying, something that you've been saying is bad. Pick that and find something inside of it. I'm not saying you have to be grateful for the hard thing itself. I'm saying look inside of it, open it up, see what you can find in there for which you are sincerely grateful. Put that on your list. This is a powerful exercise that will invite your mind to go a whole different direction. That's hack #1. I call it the gratitude power up. Are you in? Commit to it. Let's do this, okay? Now here's the other hack, and this has to do with the creation part of our model. So gratitude is all about evaluation. It puts you into that positive space. Creation, we're going to do something I call BB8. And that stands for better by 8. It might remind you of a little droid from Star Wars. That's fine if it helps you to remember it. Better by 8. Think about 8 o'clock and how sure you are that it's coming. Now think about how sure you are that you're going to be around at 8 o'clock. Chances are really high. You've got a 100% track record. So far, you've made it to every 8 o'clock your entire life. So probably you're going to be around. I don't think it's possible for things to be exactly the same at 8 o'clock as they are right now. Because at the very least, you're going to be just a little older, right? So by your own evaluation, which you can't turn off, remember, it's constantly happening in your mind, things have to be either better or worse by your own judgment. Now, do you think you can make things worse by 8 o'clock? Yeah. No, would you ever do that on purpose? No. If you have the ability to make things worse, guess what else you could do? So better by 8 is where you find something that you can do. It can be a big thing, small thing, it doesn't matter, it's up to you, that you can do between now and 8 o'clock to make your life better by 8. Just come up with it. Now, how does that feel? Do you notice how that gives you just a little bump of hope? Because this is in your control. You can do something, whether it's about your finance or your health or your relationship. You pick an area, better by 8. Can you do this? If you will do this for the same 5 days, you get to have 10 upgrades to your life. Go do the 2 brain hacks. Gratitude power up, better by 8. For the next 5 days, you get to have 10 upgrades in your life. Isn't that awesome? And share this, spread the word, because we got to help other people to understand how to operate the equipment of their own mind as well. I'll catch you on the next episode.